Hello guys, and welcome to today's first video of Social Verdict. My name is Hope Tanganu, and I'm basically going to be taking you guys with me through my, I guess you could say, political journey, as somebody who's now become more involved in politics and actually watches the news. Ah man, I remember when I was young and I used to hate watching news. I used to think it was the most boring adult thing anybody could possibly do. But nowadays, I binge watch it. And funny enough, I don't really watch any shows like, Grey's Anatomy or what's the one with the dragons? I know somebody's gonna be mad at me if I don't remember it. Now I gotta think and actually remember. Game of Thrones. There we go. I at least know the name of it. But anyways, as someone who's been keeping up with politics, um, I've come to realize, which I'm sure a lot of people already know, at least subconsciously, that social media and news is very biased, or you could at least say intense. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on different topics. Some extreme, some moderate, some people just don't even care. And I think it's interesting to see that the people who believe they have the answers to certain problems always, call the other side or, names, and then the other side's like, no, I'm not this, you're that. And I feel like it's not very productive in the country for that to be the topic of conversation that is within the mainstream media, where people are just arguing with each other, calling one side, you know, this and that. I'm not going to say any names. I'm sure we all know the words that people use to describe each other on whether you're like the left or the right. People who are moderate are the ones who never really have a say, and it always seems to be the extreme sides that get to voice their opinion and dictate how social, um, you know, uh, interactions work. So my intention of this channel is to have a place where, whether or not you're very strong and passionate about one topic or another, I want to basically have it as a place where people can feel at least that they're having the conversations out there, and I'm not acting as a biased um, person towards any specific topic. And I'll allow the people down in the comments to be as biased as you want, but at least have the conversation going. Because with a lot of channels, they're obviously leaning towards one way or another. And even though I do have my own, political views and values, I'll try my best to keep them out of these videos. However, that does not mean I'm not gonna put my own thought and perspective into, reactions to debates, topics, as the like, because I'm affected by everyday politics just as everyone else is. So, one topic for me that I know I'm going to keep up with is, cancellation, cancel culture, whatever you want to call it, whether you're for it or against it, whether you think it's helpful or not. I think it is a very interesting topic that, comes around in the news cycle every now and then. It's like every other week, somebody, something, or some idea is being canceled. And sometimes I believe I'm like, all right, I could see why people are mad at a certain topic. And then other times I'm like, really, really, we want to cancel chocolate chip cookies because in 1952, slave owners ate chocolate chip cookies, but they didn't share it with their slaves. Oh, that's horrible. I said 19 what 52, 1950, and I'm talking about slaves. Ah, we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. So we're just gonna keep up with the topics. I'm gonna try to have as much information on the topics as possible, so it doesn't seem like I'm just coming out and spitting, random facts that I'm grabbing out of the air and just. Student loan debt should be forgiven. Like, I'm not just gonna grab things out of the air and start spitting it out. I at least want some data, or maybe react to certain debates on the topic with people who might be more informed than I am. And talking about student loan debt forgiveness, that's actually going to be the topic of today's first video. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch a video on a debate that was on MSNBC about Joe Biden's student loan. I wouldn't say forgiveness, but there is, really depends how I see it. What they're proposing is not to forgive all student loans, but it is to forgive a certain portion of student loans that some people might have taken.
That's why I'm going to eliminate a lot of your student debt if you, in fact, if you come from a family less than 125 grand and you went to a public university. I'm going to make sure that everybody in this generation gets $10,000 knocked off of their student debt as we try to get out of this god-awful pandemic.
But we're going to watch the debate. I'm going to try to, from the videos I make, I'm going to try to let the entire debate run out, because I know when I watch a video and I'm watching a debate and someone keeps on stopping it to react to it, it gets annoying and frustrating to me. So I like to at least have you guys listen to the entire thing before I, take, my jab at it, see what I think are some valid points, what points could be made more clear, and move forward from there. And then below, I want you guys to really be the ones who, tell me why you think a certain topic is correct or wrong, or whatever might be the case. So with that being said, let's get into the debate.
Today, we've got guests from both sides of the argument here to debate whether Biden should or should not cancel student debt. Joining me is former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, who also served as national co-chair of Senator Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign. Also here is former conservative radio host, now the Bulwark's editor-at-large, Charlie Sykes, who's also an MSNBC contributor. Thank you both for joining me. Nina, one of the most common critiques of student loan forgiveness is, it's really expensive, who's going to pay for it? What's your answer to that?
This should be considered part of a social contract. In the same way, in this country, we finally decided that K through 12 education should be taken care of by the taxpayers. We must do the same thing right now for the 45 million people who have that student debt. And then beyond that, making sure that college and universities are tuition free so that people don't find themselves in this dilemma. The whole notion of going to college was really about people trying to change the trajectory of their lives. And so in doing that, they should not be saddled with debt for the rest of their lives. The way that college and universities have to be paid for through loans is nothing but a scam, a giveaway to the banks, and it is a burden on the American people. And just as there was no hesitation to bail out Wall Street, it is time to bail out people in the hoods all over this country, whether they're rural, urban, or suburban. So this is about a social contract in these United States of America.
All right, so I feel as if there's a lot to break down from the woman's side of view as to why student loan forgiveness is a good thing. And I feel like I have to put this out there. I am a student myself. I'm currently a student at Binghamton University, and I'm also starting the physical therapy assistant program at a community college up here as well. As you can see over there, those are my books. Those books alone cost me around $500, $500,000 on books. That's crazy. So I feel like this is definitely down my alley. But let's get back to the topic. I feel that the one comparison she did make with K through 12, I don't know if it's a great comparison, saying how K through 12 is subsidized by taxpayers, and saying if we could do that for children, throughout their elementary and secondary years of school, then how come we can't do that for college? So the one thing I could see about that, an argument someone might make is, well, you need K through 12 just to function in society. Because if you can't read, if you can't write, if you can't do simple math, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to push yourself into your professional life to go farther. And without K through 12, you don't even have the opportunity or chance to attend college if you'd like to. College is something that, as much as people say you need college, You know, realistically, in today's day and age where you could do anything, you could do TikToks and start dancing and make, you know, more than doctors, which is crazy. You don't really need college. So I feel like college is something you take because you have a strong will, you know, a work ethic towards, you know, building your profession, you know, to whatever you feel like you want to do. So that'd be like the one take I would take from that. I suppose the other thing that she did note was making tuition free. And I'm just trying to think of it like from an economic standpoint because, you know, in a perfect world, you know, everything is free. You know, everybody gets paid $50 an hour and stuff like that. But realistically, for society to function, I know like there's more that have to go into it than just that. So by making tuition free, you know, that just means either the school itself is paying for everyone's tuition, which I'm not sure how it would do that, or the government just provides the funding to the schools, which would just ultimately mean that everyone is going to constantly paying for everybody's tuition, you know, whatsoever. If somebody, you know, fails a class and they take it 5 times, you know, that's 5 times that I'm, you know, helping someone else pay for the class, even though maybe I already graduated, you know, 10, 12 years ago. So that was another thing that I found interesting. And I believe she said something along the lines of the loans are scams. That's one thing that I think I agree with a lot to a certain point, because a lot of these loans are definitely predatory because, you know, younger kids coming straight out of high school, like what do we really know about, you know, money at that age? What do we know about, you know, interest and how to pay it back, and, you know, subsidized and unsubsidized loans? I know in high school there's some classes that teach you about that, but once you get into the real world and really experience it, then you really see the true impact. The one thing I would say is the loans can be beneficial if you could find a good loan with like a low interest, because I know the way loans work is since a bank or institution is giving you money, that's money they could have been using to invest towards something else, and I know that's why they charge the interest, but the interest that they're charging is definitely ridiculous and there's no reason for it. So that's my take from her side, but let's hear what the other guy has to say to counteract her points.
Charlie, it's a bailout, to use Nina's phrase, that over half the country supports, at least partial student loan forgiveness, that is, including, according to one poll, a majority of adults who didn't attend college. So it's a popular policy. What is your objection to it?
Well, first of all, I think it's a legitimate problem, the cost of higher education and the access to higher education. I've written several books about it, documenting the incredible increase in tuitions over the last few years. But I have to say, these proposals are bad politics and they are bad public policy. Some of the giveaways, some of the bailouts would be regressive. Most of the benefits would go to upper income individuals. They do not address the underlying problems of the cost of higher education or the accessibility. And keep in mind that these proposals do not wipe out the debt. They simply transfer the debt to the 220 million American adults who don't have student debt. They do not make college cheaper. In fact, they may encourage colleges to raise their tuition. It's backward looking. It doesn't help future borrowers. And because it sets a precedent of forgiving the loans, future students may expect another loan forgiveness, so take on more debt going forward. That's the concept of moral hazard. And in terms of the politics, you know, there are a lot of polls out there, but I will tell you that this is going to be quite unpopular with and unfair to, and you've mentioned this before, people who, millions of people who do not have student loans, people who never went to college, people who paid off their student loans, people who chose to go to community colleges rather than more expensive colleges. And I think that it may also hurt the future student borrowers as well. Look, the reality is that forgiving $50,000 would cost $1.5 trillion. $10,000 forgiveness would cost about $300 billion. You could actually, for that, cut a check to every adult American for $1,500. And unfortunately, this is not targeted to all the people who need it. There are a lot of people out there who are suffering with debt, who are unemployed, who may be suffering with medical debt, and they will not be helped by this.
Patty,
so this is a social contract that deals with a very, in many of them, a privileged subset.
Again, I believe the counter side had some good points, and I also believe there's also more nuance and like deeper conversations to be made about his position on not forgiving student loan debt. And like one of the questions I would ask is, all right, so we're not gonna forgive any loan debt, okay, but like like what would be the proposal from like people on the other side, like what should we do about it? It's already spiraled out of control, and if we leave it, it's just gonna keep on going and going and going. I don't remember the exact number, I don't want to lie, but I know we have over $1 trillion of student loan debt in the United States, and that's a huge number. I don't even know how much we spend on like the military a year, but over $1 trillion. It's a lot of money. But I still feel we do have to find a way to deal with the problem. If it's not directly through forgiving the loans, because let's say we forgive the loans for like this generation or this generation and the last generation. How about the ones in the future? Are we gonna be like, okay, well, we're gonna forgive these guys, but you guys, no, you're not gonna get anything. And one of the things people bring up is, if you forgive the student loans, then doesn't that mean the college, they'll be like, all right, well, if the government is gonna forgive the loans, we could just charge students more money. And then now it becomes a thing where even though like the loans are being forgiven, tuition is ridiculously high, where people who maybe might not qualify for these loans now have to pay higher amounts of money. And when I say don't qualify for these loans, I mean that don't qualify for the government loans, because those are the ones that the Biden administration is talking about forgiving, the ones that are from the U.S. government itself, not from like a bank. People who took bank loans for school are not going to be seeing a penny, which is also a sad thing. And I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize, what you brought up on his counter side, is that people with college degrees tend to make more money. So someone would argue, all right, well, if I'm paying off their loan, but within their lifespan, they're gonna make, let's say, 3x times what I make within their life, then doesn't that seem unfair, where someone who's lower income is paying for someone who has more income? But I guess the also counter argument could be, well, even though they might be making more, if they're still paying off the loan and it's still accruing interest, then maybe it balances out or something like that, which I doubt would really be the case. Because like, let's say someone went to become a neurosurgeon, and I know like neurosurgeons can make a lot of money, and I'm sure their school costs a lot of money as well, but like throughout their life span, I'm sure if a neurosurgeon is responsible and pays off the loan like how they should, they probably have it all paid off. And then once they start making the money and keeping it to themselves, I'm sure the average person is not going to be anywhere close to the amount of income that they're making. So that was the one part of his side of the debate that I found interesting. The full link to the entire debate is going to be down in the description. I want you guys to watch it and really see their sides and what they think, and then come back, tell me what you think. Tell me if you think someone had a stronger point, your opinion, and we'll just continue on talking more about these social aspects later on in the channel. All right, so please comment, like, subscribe. You know, it's a new channel. Let's get things going. And I'll see you back next video of Social Verdict. I need to make like a intro and exit, whatever it's called. I'm still new to this stuff. Thanks, and my name is Hope Tanganu again, and see you guys in the next video.